Hello, fans, and welcome to This Day in Baseball, where we're going to bring you a full radio broadcast of today's game. And before we do that, I just want to thank Classic Baseball Radio, and there's a link in the notes where you can check out their full channel. They have many great radio broadcasts. And while you're listening to today's game, if you want to check out much more about the game and the players, look on the links below, and you're going to see links to player pages, the date the game happened, the year it happened, and the play-by-play. Enjoy the game, and check out the links while you're watching the game, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that every time new content comes out, you're going to get that firsthand. And thank you again for checking out This Day in Baseball, and enjoy the game.
Lefty Grove, about whom, we could sit up here and talk for hours, is going to have the honor of tossing out the first ball here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore before Game 3 of the 1970 World Series. The managers have exchanged the lineup cards at home plate with the plate umpire, Mr. Tony Vincent. The discussion of ground rules is continuing, and in just a moment, Bowie Kuhn, standing alongside Lefty Grove, will hand Mr. Grove the baseball, and Lefty will toss it out there. You know, fans, Major League Baseball set a new attendance record in 1970 when 28,800,000 paid to see regular season games. This figure, by the way, does not include the championship series. It constitutes an increase of 1.5 million fans over 1969. Someone you know needs USO. The GIs and the armed forces come from every community, including yours. Serving with them are Red Cross and USO. How much they do is up to you. Support them with your fair share to your United Way campaign in your community. If you don't do it, it won't get done. Well, here's a fellow who is sort of returning home, as it were. He comes from not too far away. And I got to say this, it is my pleasure to be seated alongside NBC's Jim Simpson.
Thank you, Jim McIntyre. The sun is out now. Pete Rose waiting on deck as Dave McNally warms up. And Jim, as you were giving the rundown, as I'm sure that you got it from your Cincinnati friends, about the fair fastball of Dave McNally. This has been said for some time, but it is also said by the likes of someone like Ted Williams that McNally's fastball is much faster than what most scouts figure and what most hitters figure. He is very fast, although he is known as a breaking ball control artist. Now, McNally, a left-hander, also has over his shoulder and over the fence 410 feet away very short evergreen trees and then some white houses on the hill beyond that. And many who bat here in Baltimore say that is a very difficult background against which to hit. Pete Rose, who hit .316 on the year, 15 home runs, 52 RBIs, switch hitter, batting right-handed against the left-hander Dave McNally, steps in. And as Jim told you, Pete Rose is 0 for 6 in the first 2 games of the World Series. He has drawn 2 walks and also reached in the first game when Ellie Hendricks, the catcher at that time, was charged with catcher's interference. Now, defensively for Baltimore, Boog Powell will be at first base. And then around the infield, all are Golden Glovers. Davy Johnson at second base, Mark Belanger at shortstop, and Brooks Robinson, who has had a tremendous series, at third base. Switch hitter Don Buford out in left field, Paul Blair in center field, and Frank Robinson in right. Behind the plate is Andy Etchebarren, making his first start of the World Series, and as Jim told you, he has caught most of McNally's games in the majors and a great deal in the minors. And Dave McNally, who has won 24 and lost 9, is on the mound. Rose stands deep in the batter's box. Ground ball up the middle. Belanger goes for it. Under his glove. Base hit on the first pitch. The statistics say 0 for 6. Jim McIntyre has just checked his scorecard and says it's 0 for 7. So that's 1 for 8 as Rose gets his first World Series hit. And that'll bring up Bobby Tolan, the left-hander. And if you've been following the Cincinnati Reds or the National League Championships or the World Series, you know that Tolan, a left-handed hitter, is murder on left-handed pitchers. He has either led or been second in hitting against left-handers since he joined Cincinnati at the start of the 1969 series. On at first base is Pete Rose, who can run. And, of course, Tolan has great speed. A matter of fact, his cousin is the late Eddie Tolan, who won gold medals back in the 1932 Olympic Games in the 100 and 200. McNally's ready, and there's the bunt down the third base line, rolling. Brooks is waiting to see if it'll roll foul. It's not going to roll foul. There are men at first and second on 2 pitches. A bunt single for Bobby Tolan that stays fair.
Jim, that ball looked like it was trying to twist foul, and Brooks Robinson, seeing that he had no chance to make a play on it, I think was saying a little prayer that it would. But it stayed right inside the chalk line, and it goes as a clean single. It looks like a line drive in the box score.
Dave McNally on the mound, 24-game winner, now to face the right-hander Tony Pérez. 1 for 7 in the series, but Perez, of course, has great power. McNally ready. First pitch is low, ball 1. Perez had 40 home runs during the regular season, 129 RBIs, and hit .317. A very important cog in that big red machine. No score, but Rose is down at second, Tolan on at first, in the top of the first inning of the 3rd game of the 1970 World Series. McNally is ready, throws a fastball that's inside and low. It is 2-0. McNally's great forte, and he hasn't been pitching in some days, is his control. And they also say about Dave, if there's one man, and there are many more than one, but if there's one man in the league that has heart, has stomach, is willing to stand against all odds, it is Dave McNally, who does not beat himself. Ground ball to Brooks Robinson. He'll run to third base. Now done the throw on to first. Double play. That was not one of the tough chances that Brooks Robinson has had in the series, but still he had to reach high for the sharply hopping ball, grabbed it over his head, charged from his position about 25 feet off the bag to third base, and then threw on to first. Moving into second, Bobby Tolan, and here comes Johnny Bench. 286 in the series, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, 22 years old, and Mr. Everything in the National League and in baseball. Change up on a breaking pitch is outside, ball 1. So now 2 are out. Tolan is at second. They're pulled around. Johnson over near the bag at second base, but playing very deep for Johnny Bench, who is a dead pull hitter. We saw him hit the ball to right in the series, but he's a pull hitter and lines one right to Brooks Robinson for the 3rd out. So the Reds score no runs on 2 base hits, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 1/2 inning, Cincinnati nothing, and Baltimore coming to bat.
How many potential Hall of Famers do you suppose are playing in this 1970 World Series? Judging by their performance records, there should be quite a few. But I got a nominee you haven't even thought of. His name is Andy Granatelli. No, Andy doesn't play baseball, but he's got quite a performance record all his own with STP Oil Treatment. On the racetrack, Andy and his racing teams have proven STP cuts heat, friction, and wear. That's because STP clings to vital engine parts, lubricates better than ordinary motor oil alone. It helps race cars and family cars run smoother, cooler, quieter, longer. And now that winter is coming on, STP can help you in another way because STP won't drain off engine parts overnight. So, on cold mornings, you get the benefit of extra lubrication, which means faster starts. So, put a famous name on your driving team. The first time you need oil, or the next time you change oil, have your service station add STP Oil Treatment, and you'll run racer sharp. Well, that man, Brooks Robinson, was on the scene again against the Cincinnati Reds, as he has been for the first 2 games. You just cannot say too much about Mr. Robinson. He is just spectacular with that glove, and is not doing too bad with the bat either, Jim.
All right, Jim McIntyre. Tony Cloninger, make that Cloninger, is warming up. Big right-hander, and as Jim McIntyre told you, a little bit wild in the late going of the season. He is a 9-game winner. He has Lee May stationed over at first base, Tommy Helms down at second, Dave Concepcion making his first appearance in the World Series at shortstop, Tony Pérez at third, Hal McRae, a rookie out in left field, Bobby Tolan in center, Pete Rose in right, Johnny Bench the catcher, Cloninger, of course, is the pitcher. And switch hitter Don Buford, hitting .375 in the series, playing left field, 1 RBI, steps in, batting left-handed, of course, against the right-handed Cloninger. We're in the last of the first. There is no score. Cloninger ready with his first World Series pitch. It's a breaking ball. It's outside, ball 1. Cincinnati in the top half of this inning got the first 2 men on. Rose singled on the first pitch. Tolan laid down a perfect bunt on the first pitch, but then Robinson went to work, double play, and caught a line drive. Back with the fastball, Cloninger. Outside, it is 2-0 to Buford. Waiting on deck in this shaken-up lineup of Earl Weaver's Baltimore Orioles, Mark Belanger. Shaken up because the catcher is Andy Etchebarren, a right-hander, instead of Ellie Hendricks, who drove in the winning runs on Sunday and hit a home run on Saturday, who bats left-handed. Cloninger ready, fastball outside, and it is quickly 3-0 to Don Buford. Buford has reached base more than 41% of the times he's been at bat in 1970. The Birds say he's the best leadoff man they ever had. Cloninger ready and misses with a fastball. It's outside, and of course, in a World Series appearance, that is not hardly indicative that Cloninger is wild today, but rather this is the World Series. His team is down 2-0, and everybody gets those butterflies. Mark Belanger, slick fielding shortstop, often used phrase, but he, like Brooks Robinson over at third and Davy Johnson at second, is a Golden Glove winner. 143 he is hitting in the series. He is 1 for 7. Belanger hit .218 this year, but closed with a rush to get above 200. Cloninger ready, and a fastball is right down the middle. Belanger taking all the way, now looks down to Billy Hunter, the coach at third base. It was cloudy and foggy until they said, play ball, the sun is out, it is a beautiful day here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. We're in the last of the first inning. There is no score. But Buford very fast, good base runner on at first, and Lee May holding, and so now Cloninger just lobs a ball over to May to chase Buford back. And also to see whether or not Buford was leaning the wrong way with any intention of going. Now he throws harder over there. The ball is low and in the dirt, picked out by May, and it's still a 1-strike count to the waiting Mark Belanger. They're playing Belanger pulled around to the right and very shallow. Cloninger now ready, fastball. It is hit to right field, and in comes Pete Rose. Glasses down, one hands it. Buford trots back to first, 1 out in the last of the first.
Jim, I noticed Rose then keeping his eye on Belanger. He was in position in shallow right field. He could have let that ball drop and thrown to second for a force, and had Belanger not been close to first base, the Reds might have tried for a double play.
And on artificial turf, which you have in Cincinnati, Jim, that might have been a very possible, a probable play, but on the turf out here, which is grass and gutted by the fact that they play football here, it might not have been the play to make. Here is Boog Powell, and you did not hear booing. It is Baltimore's greeting to him, Boog, just like you used to hear from Moose Skowron of the New York Yankees. Left-hander, lots of power, takes inside with a breaking pitch, dug out of the dirt by Johnny Bench. It's ball 1 to Powell, hitting at .500. 4 RBIs for Boog, and he has walked 3 times. 10 runs have been scored by Baltimore, 4 in the first game, 6 in the second, and this gentleman drove in 4 of them. Buford on at first, 1 out, no score. Cloninger working from a stretch, throws a fastball in on Powell, and it's 2-0. According to the book that the Cincinnati Reds have on Boog Powell, that is the place to pitch him. Inside, jam him. Don't let his bat get out over the plate, because if it does, it's gone. Now, Powell's first home run in Cincinnati was to the opposite field, to left, and his second was about 430 feet straight away center. He pulled neither one, but has power to go to all fields. 2-0 count. Buford going off at first base. Breaking pitch, and it catches the outside corner. 2 balls, 1 strike. Cloninger used to be very fast. Now, like so many veterans, he pitches with head. He pitches 2 spots. And he changes his rate of delivery, speed, very often. But still does have a fastball. 2 balls, 1 strike to Boog Powell, who waits. Back with a fastball, in on the hands, and popped down the third baseline. Johnny Bench is there and has it in foul territory for the second out. Buford, of course, holding on at first base.
Jim, that's the key to getting Boog Powell out. And the Reds feel they got to get him to swing with a little end of the bat. If he gets the big end on it, look out.
Well, here is Frank Robinson, who played all those years with the Cincinnati Reds, traded away to Baltimore in 1966, immediately won the Triple Crown, and was voted the most valuable player, and of course hit a home run to win one of those ball games that Baltimore took, and they took 4 in a row from Los Angeles. But in this World Series, Frank is 0 for 9. In the 5th inning on Sunday, he sent Pete Rose very deep to the wall in right field, but he is still 0 for 9. Waits, does not go for the breaking pitch outside. Started to offer, it's ball 1. 1966, Baltimore won 2 World Series games here, both by the score of 1-0. Last year, they won the opener over the Mets 4-1 and lost the second game 1-2. So in 4 series games, Baltimore's won 3, scored 7 times. Their opponents have scored only 3 times. Cloninger ready, fastball fouled upstairs off to the right. It's 1-1 to Frank Robinson. And as we told you, Baltimore is now working on a 9-game winning streak here at Memorial Stadium. That includes the playoffs, and they've won 15 of the last 16 here at home. 2 out, last to the first, no score. Cincinnati had 2 base runners in the first inning, but couldn't move them around the first 2. Don Buford walked to lead off the Baltimore first, but Belanger's fly to right, and Powell jammed badly, fouled out to Bench. Another little off throw to Buford at first base. Boog Powell while he was up there, and Johnny Bench while he was up there. We were thinking they'll publish that most valuable player voting sometime. There goes Buford on the hit and run, and Robinson has his first base hit to right field. Buford digging for third base. Runners at first and third with 2 out, and Paul Blair, the batter.
Robinson is perfect with that hit and run. The pitch looked like a high slider. It was a little bit outside, right where he could punch it into right field, and executed perfectly. Hit and run. Runners first and third, 2 out. Here's Jim.
Paul Blair hitting a .331. A fine outfielder who plays center field, probably more shallow than anybody else. And the funny thing was that in Sunday's game, if it can be funny to make an error, Mark Belanger made an error that opened the way for 3 unearned runs in the first inning. In that same inning, Paul Blair made an error. Now going to the 9th inning with a score of 6-5, Belanger made a remarkable play on the first man at bat to throw him out. And Blair, of course, caught Jimmy Stewart's long drive as he banged to the wall in dead center field. So they both redeemed themselves. Buford at third, Robinson at first, 2 out, scoreless game, last to the first. Blair ready for Cloninger, who has talked things over with Johnny Bench. Pitching from the stretch, comes in with a fastball. It's high to Blair, and it's ball 1.
Jim, I have to think the conference between Cloninger and Bench had to do with Blair and a possibility he might try to lay a bunt down. He's got great speed.
And he's got Perez in on the edge of the grass. See, that seems funny after 2 games in Cincinnati saying grass after that artificial turf, which is everywhere. Cloninger ready again. 1-0 the count to Blair. Breaking pitch, and he's got him with a good slider swinging. It's 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike to Blair. Paul had a good year, despite the fact he was out for some time after being beaned. 6 weeks, hit .267, but 18 home runs, and he led the team in stolen bases with 24. And he is an excellent bunter, as well as having a lot of power. Cloninger gets the sign from Bench. Into the stretch, Perez again in on the edge of the grass, comes back with a fastball that's high, kicks around at the mound. It's 2 balls, 1 strike. Speaking of that most valuable player, I'm sure that you know that in the voting for the MVP awards, now Bench steps out off the plate for a moment, that all votes must be in at the end of the season, before the league championships begin, before the World Series begin. So no matter what happens here, the MVP votes have already gone in. Of course, there is a most valuable player award for the World Series, won a year ago by the Mets, Don Clendenin. 2 balls, 1 strike. Cloninger taking his time at the mound, in the stretch, ready to throw to Blair. High and inside, snap throw to first base, and with a diving slide back to the bag, Frank Robinson makes it back. Johnny Bench impressed everybody. Well, he's been pressing everybody all year, but in the first game, when he threw around the left-handed batter, Boog Powell, who was a mountain at about 6'4", 250 or more pounds, on a snap throw that nearly got a Baltimore runner off first base. 3 balls, 1 strike. Let's see if Blair is swinging on the 3-1 pitch. Buford down the line from third. Robinson not too big a lead off at first. Now he fakes going, and the fastball is fouled back to the screen. It's 3-2, and with 2 out. Now Buford will be charging from third, and Robinson will be on his way to second with the pitch. So Cloninger steps off the mound in the sunlight at Memorial Stadium and rubs up a new baseball. Tony Benson of the National League is calling balls and strikes behind the plate. That means that there are going to be more low strikes called today and fewer up around the letters than if an American League umpire were behind the plate. National League umpires get on that inside shoulder. Cloninger ready with a 3-2 pitch. Foul back to the screen. Robinson was all the way down to second base, and of course Buford not charging that fast, seeing what is going to develop before he started home. But Robinson has got to get to second base to avoid the force. No score last of the first inning. Third game of the World Series. First two games won by Baltimore by scores of 4-3 and 6-5 at Cincinnati. Now the Reds are in Baltimore trying to come back. 3 balls, 2 strikes. There goes Robinson again. High ball 4. The bases are loaded with Brooks Robinson coming to bat. Brooks Robinson, who turned in 2 fine plays, a double play starter and a line drive ender of the first inning in this ball game, and of course has been the fielding star of the series thus far, is hitting .250, and his home run won the first World Series game 4-3. He has 2 RBIs, and Brooks, a clutch hitter, if there ever was one in the American League, is up with the bases loaded and 2 out. Robinson got his 2,000th hit this year, and appropriately enough, it was a home run. Cloninger is ready with the bases loaded. Strike up around the letter. Wayne Granger is up and throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen out in right field. Sparky Anderson said, "I'm playing this one like there's no tomorrow. I'll pull a pitch in the first inning if I have to. I'll pinch hit in the first inning if I have to. I've got to win today." Strike 1 to Brooks Robinson. Fastball up around the letters. Cloninger looks over at Buford at third base. Ready to throw. Throws again very high this time. Bench reaches up, hauls it in. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Buford started off with a walk. Belanger fly to right. Boog Powell was jammed and fouled out to Johnny Bench. And then on the hit and run, Robinson laced a line drive single right field. Buford raced over to third base. And on a 3-2 count, Paul Blair walked to load the bases in this scoreless game. Cloninger looking in to Johnny Bench. All the runners edging off. Cloninger ready to throw. Drive out into the alley in left center field. It'll drop between them. Picked up by Tolan. 1 run scores. 2 run scores. The ball comes into Tony Pérez. It is 2-0 on a double by Brooks Robinson. And what a series he is having. Buford, who walked, score. Frank Robinson, who got his first series hit of this series, score. Over to third goes the swift Paul Blair, and Brooks Robinson has a double with Davy Johnson, the batter. Well, what else can Brooks Robinson do? They've hit the ball to him twice. He started at least plays that accounted for all 3 outs in the top half of this inning, and with the bases loaded and 2 out, he has doubled in the only 2 runs of the ball game. Breaking pitch from Cloninger is inside and high to Davy Johnson. Johnson hitting .333 in this World Series. Baltimore again with runners, of course, both men in scoring position with Blair at third and Brooks Robinson down at second. 2-0 to score, the last of the first inning. Cloninger ready again. Ball is hit high in the air. Backing up is Dave Concepcion. Now in is Tolan. Over is Hal McRae. Tolan makes the catch for the third out, but 2-run score on 2 hits. There are no errors and 2 men left. At the end of 1 complete inning in this third game of the World Series. Baltimore 2, Cincinnati nothing.
The following is dedicated to all you folks out there who have corrected Winston's grammar.
What do you want? Good grammar or good taste? What do you want? Good grammar or good taste? Pardon our grammar, but Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Winston may not say it right, but they sure know how to make it right.
Hello, I'm Linda Rocher. As you probably know, I'm married to Leo Rocher of baseball fame. And another famous name you'll recognize is Adorn Hairspray. I even carry Adorn with me to the ballpark. It's the only hairspray I've found that holds any hairstyle in place, no matter how hard the infield wind blows, yet holds softly, naturally. Self-styling Adorn, famous for hold. Try it.
Back at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, Jim Simpson with Jim McIntyre. And as Lee May comes up, we'll advise you that with us in the broadcast booth is the man that's with me all year long in NBC baseball, former pitching great of the Dodgers, Sandy Koufax. Lee May has been the man for Cincinnati, hitting .375, hits the first ball, pulls it foul past the coach Alex Ramis at third base. Ted Pazuski is the coach over at first. Of the 8 runs that Cincinnati has scored thus far, Lee May has driven in 4 of them. Dave McNally now working with a 2-0 lead. Left-hander, the right-hander, Lee May, who has great power. They play him around to the right and very deep. Breaking ball is in under the hands, inside, and it's ball 1. 1-1. This is the first time in the series that Baltimore has scored first to take the lead. McNally ready again and throws swinging strike by May. It is 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Lee May, 2-0 the score. This is the 3rd game of the World Series. Baltimore won the first 2. They're now opening at home. McNally ready back again. Good pitch, and he's called out on strikes right at the knees. And Sandy Koufax, as a man who likes good pitching, that was quite a pitch.
Yes, it was, Jim. It's interesting. Both pitchers had their trouble in the first inning, which many pitchers do. A fellow like McNally sometimes may not have his best control when the ball game starts. We'll get it later. And the way he got out of the first inning with Brooks Robinson making the good play on the double play, and he gave up no runs. Now here he's in the second inning, and his control looks fine now. So you might see a great ball game from Dave today.
Al McRae, the batter, hitting at .500, 2 for 4, and swings at the first pitch, foul tips at strike 1. Well, on the basis, Sandy, of what we have seen thus far in the World Series, as McNally steers in for his side, other things can happen in the series, but right now, when you look at MVPs for the series, Mr. Robinson is right there. Change of pace is outside.
Definitely, Jim. He's looked great. He's made every play. He made an error the first day, but I think he's not only made that up, he's more than made up for that. He's swung the bat. He's gotten the big base hits.
Fastball is outside from McNally. It's 2-1.
And even here, this last inning, at the bottom of the first inning, he came up with the bases loaded. He didn't hit the ball hard. Cloninger hit him on the fist a little bit, but the ball is in there. And when you're going good, everything seems to just fall in for you.
Little handle hit, racing out is Cloninger, and it drops between him and the center fielder Blair, and that's the 3rd hit of the ball game. As Al McRae gets his 3rd hit in 5 trips to the plate. Tommy Helms, who's 1 for 8, hitting 125, a right-handed batter, steps in. Helms, of course, had a career average of .281 before this year, but only hit .231 during the regular season, has 1 hit in 8 tries. On deck is Dave Concepcion, 2-0 the score. McNally, with his move, goes to first base, and McRae, who has speed, is right there. Sandy, you made a point on the pregame show, which I heard on television, that the Orioles, in the first 2 games, scored runs the tough way. They were down 3-0 and 4-0. Here's McNally's pitch, grounded foul to the left, and that the easy way to score them is the first time any run is scored in the ball game. For the first time, Baltimore has broken on top.
Very definitely, Jim. Runs are tougher to get when you're behind in a game. It's a lot easier to score when you're either tied or ahead. And in a series like this, especially the situation Cincinnati's in, they really cannot afford to gamble. They can't afford to throw away too many chances. Tommy Helms is a great handler of the bat, a good hit-and-run man, but it's a little tough to start the runner in this situation.
McNally's next pitch catches the outside corner. It is strike 2 to Helms. McRae at first, 1 out. McNally staring in. Bill Williams, National League umpires, in on the grass at second in case there's a play there. Staring in, breaking pitch that he misses with outside. And Etchebarren goes out to talk to Dave McNally. Sandy, before you get away, a word from you as a pitcher about Dave McNally and about Tony Cloninger.
Well, I think McNally's best pitch is probably his fastball. You get a reputation for being a breaking ball pitcher, but I think Dave throws a lot harder than most people give him credit for. And the fact that he throws it in good spots makes it look a lot quicker than it really is. A good fastball in a good spot is a tough pitch.
Ground ball to Robinson. It's at fair territory at third. He waited for a moment and then threw him out, waiting to see if the ball would go foul. And then when he saw, and it's instinct, obviously, at the last moment it would not go foul, as Bobby Tolan's bunt would not roll foul, he picked it up and threw out Tommy Helms. And Brooks Robinson does it again, Sandy.
Jim, he's just looked great. I don't think you can say enough for Brooks. He's got the best instincts or best reflexes I think I've ever seen of any infielder, maybe of any ball player. You see him miss a ball, it never hits the ground again. It bounces off his glove, and he seems to catch it again in midair. He's incredible.
Dave Concepcion, first time up in a World Series. He's a rookie, hits the first pitch and fouls it out of play. And Sandy, now a word about the Cincinnati pitcher, Tony Cloninger.
Well, Tony has been a National League pitcher and fine pitcher for many years. In 1965, he won, I think, about 24, 25 ball games in the National League and had a great fastball. He's had a history now of arm trouble. Some days he has good stuff, some he doesn't.
Line drive. Right field. Big hop. Robinson is up with it. Here comes the throw home as the runner's coming home. Etchebarren lets it go through him. And down to second base goes Concepcion. And it is 2-1. And Cincinnati comes back.
Jim, I think that was a real big play. If Etchebarren catches that ball, I believe he's going to have McRae out at the plate. It was a good throw from Frank Robinson. I think Etchebarren may have taken his eye off the ball too quickly. The ball was there in plenty of time, and it's just a case of the ball getting away from the catcher. And it's a big run. If you throw McRae out there, the inning's over without a run scoring, and it's a big difference. Now, as it is, you've got another man in scoring position and a one run in, so it's only a 2-1 ball game.
2-1 ball game. That run is, of course, unearned. Here is Tony Cloninger, and a pretty good hitter. 2 home runs this year. Takes a breaking pitch in on him. Too far inside and low. It is ball 1. And now that he's at bat, and I've said he's a good hitter, again about Cloninger as a pitcher.
Well, he still at times has the good fastball. He needs a little bit better control. He has good stuff, and he said he's a good hitter. I remember a few years ago he hit 2 grand slam home runs in 1 ball game.
Takes a big cut at this pitch, and it's a strike. 1-1 to Cloninger. Down at second base as Dave Concepcion after the line drive single to right. Frank Robinson made a dandy play, had to reach way high in the air to take the high hop that it took, and then threw a strike to Etchebarren and went right past Andy. And sliding in with the run was Hal McRae. McNally back and strike 2 swinging to Cloninger. Baltimore got 2 runs in their half of the first. This is the top of the second. Lee May was called out on strikes. McRae singled. Tommy Helms was thrown out on a fine play by Brooks Robinson, and Concepcion singled, and here by Etchebarren allowed the run to score. Hit to the opposite field and foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Sandy, before you get away, any other observations, because we've been in this broadcast booth and you have not been with us this time, about this series thus far?
Well, I think I have to say a word about the 2 managers. Earl Weaver has been great. He's made all the right moves, and Sparky Anderson has shown me as much class as a losing manager. He's just been great in losing.
Cloninger is thrown out on 3rd called strike right at the knees, and Sandy Koufax, thanks so much for being with us. In the top of the second inning, Cincinnati gets 1 run on 2 hits. There was 1 important error and 1 man left. We go to the last of the second. Baltimore's lead now, a slim one, 2-1.
You know, I've known and talked to a lot of great ball players over the years, and there's one thing they all seem to have in common: tenacity. Yes, sir, they all know how to hang in there when the going gets tough. Well, here's something else that literally hangs in there: Fcp Oil Treatment. Fcp actually cleans the vital engine parts, lubricates better than motor oil alone. With winter on deck, that could be very important to you. You see, ordinary motor oil drains off vital engine parts when your car sits overnight, so on cold mornings, it's mostly metal against metal in your engine, which really makes it tough on your engine and battery. But STP stays up on engine parts all night. So in the morning, you've got all the extra lubrication you need to help you start fast. And then STP goes to work to keep you running smoother, quieter, longer. So next time you fill up, have your local service station add STP Oil Treatment to your car. It's the same racer's edge leading race drivers and millions of motorists depend on. So use it yourself soon. It'll help you get the edge on winter.
All right, Jim, Andy Etchebarren steps in to lead off the second inning. Dave McNally to follow, and then back to the top of the batting order in Don Buford. Etchebarren gets a hand as he comes to the plate, as the Baltimore fans realize that Andy probably feels worse than they do about the error at home that cut the lead from 2-0 to 2-1. Etchebarren has pretty good power, 4 home runs during the regular season. Swings on the first pitch. Perez comes off third base in front of the shortstop, sidearms the throw to first base, and Etchebarren is out on 1 pitch. And that'll bring up Dave McNally. McNally, who has 40 starts on the year, 16 complete games, and 24 victories, as a batter, 133. 1 home run and 6 RBI. And the hand, of course, is for Dave, the left-hander. Aside from the fact that he is one of 3 men who this year in the American League won 24 ball games, McNally is different. He's the only man born in Montana playing in the major leagues. First pitch from Cloninger is a strike at the knees, called to Dave McNally. Don Buford waits on deck. Temperature at game time was 68, but it's muggy and Cloninger's jersey is wet. Breaking pitch, McNally swings at it but misses. It's strike 2.
Jim, it could be 40 degrees and Tony'd be sweating.
Cloninger staring in. The 2-strike pitch to McNally is a breaking pitch, but it's too low, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Dave McNally.
He goes through about 3 shirts a game, Jim.
McNally, a left-handed thrower, a right-handed hitter. Cloninger's back with a fastball, and he's called out on strikes, and McNally simply turns and walks away. That's the first strikeout for Tony Cloninger. And here's Don Buford, who started the Baltimore first by drawing a walk and later scored on the 2-run double of Brooks Robinson. Buford, product of Southern California, where he was quite a football player. As a matter of fact, as fast as Don is, the word is he would be faster had he not run into a fellow by the name of Nick Petrosanti of Notre Dame. Low and inside, the first pitch from Cloninger. Ball 1 to Buford. And that gave Don that run-in with Petrosanti a bum knee, which he's since straightened out and is still very quick. He was a defensive halfback, they tell me, at USC. Another pitch, swing and a miss, and a big swing by Buford. And it's 1-1. Well, all that talk about Ken Burkhardt, who today is working the left field line in the first game of the World Series, was kind of put down by manager Sparky Anderson of Cincinnati, who says if Burkhardt had not been in the baselines, Carbo would have been out by 6 to 8 feet. Low pitch from Cloninger. It is 2-1. And with that classy statement by, as Sandy Koufax said, a gentleman with class, Sparky Anderson, the incident is almost never discussed. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 out. We're in the last of the second. Cincinnati leads, or rather Baltimore leads Cincinnati 2-1. Long drive, but very high. Chasing Rose back near the warning track in right field. Now steps in as it was very high and is caught for the 3rd out. No runs, hits or errors, and none left. At the end of 2 complete. Baltimore leads Cincinnati 2-1.
Hey, Bud, if you want to get in on a terrific deal, listen to this. You know the Gillette Techmatic razor, the razor that gets the nubs? Well, here's the deal. Right now, when you buy the Gillette Techmatic razor, America's top-selling razor, you get a can of Gillette Foamy Shave Cream with lemon lime free. You get that? Foamy with lemon lime free. So what are you waiting for? Get the Gillette Techmatic razor now. A deal like this don't last forever.
It's true. The Retail Clerks Union helps its more than 600,000 members obtain good wages and good working conditions. The heart of the union concept is that an organized group of people is more effective than one person striving for the same purpose. That principle of democracy in action applies to our government, with a significant manifestation brings the right to vote. So vote on Election Day. This message from the Retail Store Employees Union in your community, chartered by the Retail Clerks International Association, Washington, D.C., 20006.
Pete Rose steps in against Dave McNally. Rose singled on the first pitch for his first base hit of the series back in the first inning. Later erased on a double play. Forced at third. Swings on the first pitch this time and misses. It's strike 1. Cincinnati's run came in the last inning, the second, and was unearned as Etchebarren let a perfect throw from Frank Robinson get by him. And the Gray slid in with the first run for Cincinnati. Change-up pitch with the breaking ball is off the corner outside. To Rose, it is 1 ball, 1 strike. Rose scored 120 runs during the regular season. Quite a leadoff man is Baltimore's Don Buford. Back with the fastball. It's low, and it's 2-1 to Rose. Interesting thing, Jim McIntyre, while Sandy Koufax was here talking, he said the same thing that Ted Williams and others have pointed out. They don't give McNally enough credit for that fastball. Here's one line, right ball. Well, we told you there are 3 Golden Glovers in that infield of Baltimore's, and Johnson is one of them, and that's his finest play of the series. A leaping backhanded grab. He went through his knees after he caught the line drive off the bat of Pete Rose. Here is Bobby Tolan, who bunted his way on back in the first inning. McNally ready and throws low and away to Tolan. Ball one. Crowd still buzzing here at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium on the play by Davy Johnson at second base. McNally, a fast worker, is at the knees with his fastball. It's a strike, 1-1. McNally, Cuellar, and Jim Palmer, I have learned from this series, are all extremely fast workers. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pitch is fouled off, 1-2. Whereas Tommy Pérez, who got credit for winning the second game, is the man of the Baltimore staff who is a very slow and methodical worker. But the 320 game winners get that baseball and fired right back as soon as they have the sun. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Tolan. McNally's ready, changes on a breaking pitch, and Tolan got out in front of it and laced it foul by Boog Powell at first base. Well, it is still 1-2. 1 man out, top of the third. Baltimore 2, Cincinnati 1. Third game of the series. Game 4 here tomorrow. If necessary, Game 5 here on Thursday. And then, if necessary, back to Cincinnati for Saturday and Sunday. McNally throws again, fouled off to the left over the Baltimore dugout and into the seats. Still 1-2. Tolan has had 2 great years since coming over with Granger in that trade for Vader Pinson with St. Louis. Hit over 300 both years. McNally ready again, throws, and just misses outside. Dave doesn't think so. Fastball just off the plate. It's 2-2. On deck is Tony Pérez. McNally ready with the 2-2. Inside on 1 hop to Johnson, going for it first. Sidearms at the Boog foul, and the 2 out. That brings up Tony Pérez. We'd like to say hello again to those of you who are listening on American Forces Radio throughout the world, wherever you are, Vietnam, Korea, Japan, Europe, the Caribbean, and for those on the United States ships at sea. Carried through American Forces Radio. Perez ready. McNally ready. Throws a breaking pitch that stays way outside, nowhere near the plate, ball 1. And the gentlemen over at the Armed Forces, American Forces Radio Service in Washington tell us their listening audience is estimated at more than 45 million people. Good pitch at the knees from McNally to Perez. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Perez, last time up, hit a shock grounder down to Brooks Robinson, who started a double play by running to the bag and then throwing on, forcing a man. Fastball is high and tight on Perez. 2 balls, 1 strike. Cincinnati, with a man like Perez, can tie this 2-1 ball game up in a hurry. Tony with great power, not having a good series, and high and away. Dave McNally's pitch, it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Perez did not even look down to Alex Grammas, and Grammas, like many sane coaches, plays a pull hitter like Perez, who's a right-hander, well out of that coaching box and down the line, looking out for those sharply pulled line drives into foul territory. Now 3-1. Let's see if McNally gives him a curveball or a fastball. It is low, and Perez draws the walk. That's the first walk given up by Dave McNally. And that brings up Johnny Bench, who lined right to Brooks Robinson to end the first inning. Bench has a home run. Johnny is only 22 years old, and let me tell you something, that Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, Jimmy Fox, Norman Killebrew never had hit as many home runs in their career at the age of 22 as Johnny Bench has. Fastball high in the air, may make the seats. Powell has the glasses down over near the dugout. Now has plenty of room and grabs it for the 3rd out. A run, hit through errors, 1 left. We go to the last of the 3rd inning with Baltimore leading Cincinnati 2-1.
For the morning, and you must have something new. Chrysler Plymouth, coming through. Something small enough to handle, but it's big enough for you. Here comes Justice, coming through. There are lots of other small cars that you'll pass along the way. Just to make the difference seem like night and day.
I'm Phil, and I'm Don, and together with the Everly Brothers, coming through with Chrysler Plymouth. Don't miss the new Plymouth Duster. It's the big difference in small cars.
For 1971, Chrysler Plymouth offers more kinds of new cars than anyone else in the business. Why not let a Chrysler Plymouth come through for you? We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
Windshield wipers. Are they telling you to watch out? Because you can't see out. Can't see where you're going. Can't see who's coming near. If so, you know. It's time to get AMCO. AMCO windshield wipers, blades, and refills. They're in the bright yellow cabinets in good service stations everywhere. AMCO, AMCO, by Anderson.
Radio 66, WNBC, New York.
AMCO, by Anderson.
Radio 66, WNBC, New York, the home of the Knicks and Rangers. Mark Belanger swings on the first pitch from Tony Cloninger, lifts it high and foul, and Lee May has it for the first out of the Baltimore third inning, and that'll bring up Boo Powell. This is Jim Simpson with Jim McIntyre from Baltimore's Memorial Stadium in the third game of the World Series, and Baltimore leads it 2-0, and in this game, 2 runs to 1. Powell was jammed very effectively by Cloninger back in the first inning and fouled out to Johnny Bench, who caught it on the dead run away from home plate toward the Baltimore dugout. Breaking pitch catches the outside corner. Pretty good starter from Cloninger. And it's strike one to Boog Powell, who has those 2 home runs. Now that pitch was out and away from Powell and was called a strike. Boog looking to get pitched inside. He's right back, and this ball is laced, and the shift is on against him, so Concepcion in back of second base picks it up and tosses on to May at first, and they're 2 down. Frank Robinson, perfect hit and run execution back in the first inning, sending Buford from first to third with 2 out, and then he and Buford both scored ahead of Butch Robinson's double. Tony Cloninger starting today's game, left-hander Jim Merritt, who won 20 for Cincinnati, apparently out of the pitching plan. Sparky Anderson, the manager of Cincinnati, because of a sore arm. Breaking pitch low and away from Frank Robinson, ball 1. And as Anderson said, this to him is the pivotal game. They've got to win today. They're down 2-0. He will do anything he can to win. He's trailing at the moment 2-1. Cloninger back. Cloninger's been pitching strong. Deep to center field. Back goes Tolan. 410 feet away. Home run! Robinson, who used to play for Cincinnati, went to Riverfront Stadium and didn't have a hit in 9 tries. He came home to Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, where he's been since 1966, had a perfect hit and run single and scored a run in the first and a home run here in the third. The batter's Paul Blair, and he fouls the first one off, strike 1. Blair walked back in the first inning.
Jim, it must be the home cooking for Frank.
I'm sure it is, Jim McIntyre. It is 3-1. Baltimore. Cloninger throws inside with the fastball, and it's 2-0 to Blair, who looks down to his coach, Billy Hunter, at third base. Well, Cincinnati had leads of 3-0 and 4-0 in the first 2 games. Now they're down again by 2, and let's see how the Reds battle back. That is Frank Robinson's 5th World Series home run. High pop foul. Johnny Bench has the mask off. Back near the screen in foul territory. It's on the screen. Frank Robinson hit a home run with Cincinnati in that 1961 World Series that was won by the New York Yankees 4-1. He hit 2 of them in 1966 with Baltimore, 1 last year against the Mets, and so this becomes his 5th World Series home run for a man who was the most valuable player in the National League and in the American League. And it was the Rookie of the Year over in the National League. Count to Paul Blair, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cloninger ready and throws, and there's a drive over the head of Concepcion. On 1 hop to McRae in left field, and Blair reaches with a base hit, and here comes Brooks Robinson. doubled in. 2 runs with 2 out back in the first inning. Wayne Granger again up employed in the Cincinnati bullpen. Robinson also turned in some fine fielding plays again in this game at third base. 3-1 the score. Baltimore, 2 out, last of the third. Paul Blair, who has great speed, led the team in stolen bases, walks off at first base. Lee May holding against him. The umpire over there is Bob Stewart of the American League, and now Cloninger checks on Blair, tossing over to May. Robinson had 1 home run and 2 RBIs. That home run was a winning run in the first game before today, and has added 2 RBIs today. Breaking pitch from Cloninger, down low, ball 1 to Brooks. Temperature at game time, nearly 70, but very humid, as we said. 20% chance of rain, as again Cloninger lofts the ball over to first base. And the weatherman tells us the same thing is due for tomorrow, so no rain problems in sight. Cloninger ready. There goes Blair. Here's Bench's throw down to second base. He is out. Johnny Bench throws him out. The tag being made by Tommy Helms. And there's that Johnny Bench again. 1 run on Robinson's home run. 2 hits, no errors, and none left. At the end of 3, Baltimore 3, Cincinnati 1.
This is Kurt Gowdy. You know, a game like this is always a thrill for me because it's a chance to watch the best baseball in the world. It's performance with a capital P, and I'm big on performance. That's why I recommend that you take your car to the Performance Stop, the Phillips 66 station. They've got performance products with a capital P, like Phillips Light Fuel Premium Gasoline, the high-performance gasoline that gives you all the power you need, yet keeps your engine running clean. And Phillips Top Arctic Motor Oil with its exclusive detergent additive. And Phillips PGB tires, the performance tires. Now take a tip from me and stop in at the Performance Stop, the Phillips 66 station nearest you. And when you do, just tell them that Kurt Gowdy sent you. Remember, at Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. Along with Jim Simpson, this is Jim McIntyre at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, where the Orioles have 3 runs and 4 hits. The Reds have 1 run on 1 hit. The Orioles got 2 in the first on a walk to Buford, a 2-out single by Brooks Robinson's double, and they added the 3rd run on Frank Robinson's homer in the top of the bottom of the 3rd, and the first pitch was fouled off by Lee May, and here again, Jim Simpson.
All right, Jim, and in our World Series NBC broadcast booth, Sandy Koufax, from whom you've heard, a fellow that was pretty good catch in his own right, Joe Garagiola, and they're both remarking about the incredible arm of Johnny Bench that just gunned down Paul Blair. McNally ready, breaking pitch is low to Lee May, and it's 1-1 as we're now in the top of the 4th inning of this 3-1 ball game. Bench, should he win that MVP award, will be the youngest ever. He is only 22. McNally ready to throw again. The left-hander has the ball bounced to Robinson, and you know what that means in back of third base, and he throws out Lee May again. That wasn't a spectacular time to play that Brooks has pulled on Lee May, but still Lee is thinking, there's Brooks again.
Yeah, there he is, once more. That ball scooted just a little bit, Jim, and he had to reach down in a hurry. You're talking about Garagiola remarking about Johnny Bench. You know, a catcher would have a little more respect, I think, for a catcher, don't you think?
I would say so. Here's Hal McRae, who singled and scored when a throw from the outfield got by the catcher, Etchebarren. Fouls the first one off. Etchebarren has his mask off, takes a couple of steps, and sees it go into the seats off to the right for strike 1. 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 costly error for Baltimore. Baltimore's made all of the errors in this series. That's the 5th of the series. 1 run, 4 hits, and no errors for Cincinnati. McNally back, and the ball is pulled foul down the line. Left field line. McNally's having a good series and has been meeting the ball well. That's 2 strikes. Brooks Robinson has made an error. He makes very few. Paul Blair has made an error. Makes very few. Mark Belanger has made an error. Makes very few. And yet defense is it. Now there's a time is called because a Cincinnati player, we can't see who he is because he has his jacket on, is running across right field to the gate to get into the bullpen. And now he can't get the gate open and is standing there wondering how he gets in.
That's Jim Merritt out there, Simpson.
He's been in this ballpark many times before, Jim, with Minnesota. Now he's in.
He just couldn't find the latch.
2 strikes to count to Hal McRae. McNally ready and throws outside. And I started, as I was talking over the errors, Andy Etchebarren, the catcher, is considered the better defensive catcher than Ellie Hendricks, whom he replaced today. And yet, Etchebarren is charged with an error that allowed the run to score. 1 ball, 2 strikes, in under the hands of McRae, and it's 2-2. Now, Merritt is still standing out there with his jacket on. As we said, he has popped something in his left arm out in San Francisco in early September. Not scheduled to see any action. This ball is pulled way deep and way foul to the left. And Jim McIntyre, McRae has given evidences of being a pull hitter. Is that so? Or
yes,
not?
yes, Jim, he is, and Hal is looked upon as a pretty good hitter in the major league.
The ball's 2 strikes, 3-1 the score, Baltimore. We are in the top of the 4th inning. McNally back with the pitch, fastball, and strikes him out. That's that good-looking fastball of Dave McNally. And McRae went fishing for it. It was on the outside corner of the plate. That's the 3rd strikeout for McNally, and the first time that a Red has gone down swinging. May was called out on strikes, so was Cloninger. And with 2 out, here is Tommy Helms. He had a little softball down along the 3rd baseline. Looked like he might roll foul. Brooks Robinson decided he wouldn't. Still picked it up and gunned on in time to get him in the 2nd inning. This pitch from McNally is way outside. It is ball 1. Jim Merritt is now jacket off and throwing. Ball hit to left field. Back goes Buford. Not too far from the warning track, and takes the very deep fly ball off the bat of Tommy Helms. The runs hit Perez. We go to the last of the 4th with the score. Baltimore 3, Cincinnati 1.
You know, Walter Johnson had a pitch that they used to call the radio ball. They said you could hear it, but you couldn't see it. Well, if most men's hairdressings were that way, it wouldn't be so bad, but they're not. I mean, not only can you see the grease they leave on your hair, you can feel it. That's why you'll like Vitalis. It holds your hair in place without any grease. So if you want to look good naturally, don't kid yourself. Use Vitalis. That's Vitalis. It's greaseless. Well, Mr. McNally didn't do such a bad job there, Jim. That's putting him down 1, 2, 3.
Right, yard, Jim. This message, though, first, members of the Retail Clerks Union vote by secret ballot to approve agreements with their employers. As union members, they have a voice in determining their conditions of employment. To every adult American, the right to vote is valuable because when you cast your secret ballot, you have a voice in determining the quality of the government of your country. Be sure to vote November 3rd. This message from the Retail Store Employees Union in your community, chartered by the Retail Clerks International Association of Washington, D.C., 20006. Brooks Robinson, who was at bat, with Blair on at first base, back in the 3rd inning, and walked back to get his glove as Blair was thrown out on a strong throw by Johnny Bench, the fine catcher of Cincinnati. Robinson doubled in the 1st inning. 3-1 the score. Cloninger, as Jim McIntyre says, points out, being the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, he knows. Tony goes through about 3 shirts a game, perspires a lot, and he is soaking wet right now. Ready to face the right-handed Brooks Robinson. Doubled in 2 runs in the 1st inning. First pitch, ground ball. Perez is waiting for him at 3rd base. Plenty of time to throw out Robinson for the first out of the Baltimore 4th. Swinging on the first pitch, Davy Johnson, who has a remarkable catch to his credit. On the ball hit off the bat of Pete Rose back in the 3rd inning, comes up to the applause of the Baltimore fans who appreciate good defense. Davy fly to short center field to end the 1st inning, in which Baltimore got 2 runs. Johnson, right-handed batter, runs his hands up the bat. The breaking pitch is outside and low from Cloninger. Ball 1. They play Davy just about straight away. Cloninger back with a fastball that catches the outside corner, and it's strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike to Dave Johnson. Davy, a youngster who lives now in Baltimore, graduated from Trinity of Texas, breaking pitches outside with a degree in mathematics. When you go through all of this background material for baseball players, football players, it's something to see those who have their doctorate degrees in chemistry, physics, math, And here they are also top athletes. They're quite some men. Another fastball catches the outside corner, and Johnson watches it. And it's strike two. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Dave Johnson. 1 out on the Baltimore fourth, which is the last of the fourth inning. The Orioles leading the Reds 3-1. They lead the World Series 2-0. Cloninger back with another fastball that is low, and it is 3 balls, 2 strikes. Baltimore has now scored 10 runs in this 5th World Series game ever to be played in this stadium. The opposition has now scored 4. There's a swinging foul tip at the plate, 3-2. The opposition has scored 4, and that 1 run today was unearned. Baltimore, as we said, has won its last 16 games in a row, their last 9 in a row in this stadium, and they lead now 3-1. 3-2 to Davy Johnson. Cloninger with the sign in the one and throws high and inside, and Johnson draws the 3rd walk given up by Cloninger. Brings up Andy Etchebarren, who hit the first pitch and grounded to Perez to open the 2nd inning. Etchebarren was a catcher in the 1966 World Series, when these same Baltimore Orioles were considered young phenoms, as they say. Davy Johnson, Andy Etchebarren, Paul Blair. 1 out, Johnson at first base, and Etchebarren right-handed the batter. McNally kneeling on deck with his jacket on. Cloninger now checks over at first base for Davy Johnson, who can run, but doesn't that often. Cloninger again in the stretch. Now a throw, breaking pitch. It's pulled foul past third base coach Billy Hunter. Now Hunter will retrieve the baseball as Tony Benson of the National League gives Cloninger a new one. 1 strike to Andy Etchebarren. Both teams have 4 hits. All of the Baltimore runs are earned. The run of Cincinnati is unearned. Extra base hits, Brooks Robinson with a double. Home run by Frank Robinson. Fastball is fouled out of play to the right by Etchebarren. It's 2 strikes. Looking into the bullpen, Jim McIntyre, it looks as though there's both a left-hander and a right-hander going, and I would imagine that is still Granger throwing with merit. The bullpen is out in deep right field, and we can just see the lower part of the torsos of both pitchers. Cloninger taking a lot of time now, staring in for the sign from Johnny Bench for the 2-strike pitch to Andy Etchebarren. Here it is, and it's low, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cloninger now yells into Bench for something, and I think he's yelling really into Tony Benson, the National League umpire, asking what's the count. The count on the board says, and Tony Benson reaffirms it, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Etchebarren. Now Cloninger's ready. And throws outside. It's 2-2. Cloninger now calls time, and he's going to tie that right shoe. Lee Mays at first base, Tommy Helms at second, Dave Concepcion at short, Tony Pérez at third for Cincinnati, Hal McRae in left, Bobby Tolan in center, Pete Rose in right, Bench the catcher, Cloninger the pitcher, now ready to go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outside again with the fastball. It's 3-2. Well, he went 3-2 with Dave Johnson and walked him. Now it's 3-2 to Etchebarren. Etchebarren looking down to Billy Hunter. It's 309 feet down the foul lines and then falls away rather dramatically. About 380 straight away and left and right, and then the 390 and 410 in center, and it's over that 410 mark that Frank Robinson hit his home run. Now a quick check at first, but Johnson is back in plenty of time. With the pitcher due up next and 1 out, and Johnson able to run well, let us see whether or not Davey waits to see what this pitch is or whether he's off and running. He's off and running with 1 out. It's a strike 3. The throw from Bench is down there, and he is out as Johnson overslid the bag and was tagged out, says Bill Williams of the National League. So Etchebarren called strike 3, and he struck out into a double play. Johnson was running with 1 man out, and the pitcher due up next. No runs, hits, or errors, and none left at the end of 4. Baltimore 3, Cincinnati 1.
This 1970 World Series marks the windup of a long, tough season. These players had to stay in shape for 162 grueling regular season contests and still be up for the series. It takes great conditioning to maintain that peak performance. Your car's engine has a similar problem. You expect peak performance from your car mile after mile, year after year, under all kinds of conditions. That's why your engine needs the regular conditioning you now get from new improved STP gasoline treatment. New improved STP gas treatment cleans your spark plugs better and cleans your carburetor better. New improved STP gas treatment actually cleans and tunes your engine as you drive. Keeps those harmful deposits of carbon from building up in the first place. So, to keep your car's engine in shape every season of the year, have your service station add new improved STP gas treatment whenever you fill up. That's new improved STP gasoline treatment. You'll feel the difference.
Well, Bobby Grich of Baltimore, who on June 28th was playing with Rochester, he is only 21 years old, had a thrill of sorts, I am sure. But he warmed up the pitcher McNally, and this is the 3rd game of the World Series. Bob has not made an appearance yet. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Dave Concepcion, Tony Cloninger, and Pete Rose due up. Concepcion hung in there in his first World Series at-bat against the very tough Dave McNally and singled the right field back in the 2nd inning. Al McRae was running from second base. Robinson, Frank, made a great play. Fine throw to Etchebarren, who let the ball get by him. And McRae scored the only run that Cincinnati had. And there's ball 1 to Concepcion from Dave McNally, 24-game winner. Has won 20 or more in each of the last 3 years. Ready to throw again, fastball, and this one is hit out to left field. In quickly as Buford waits and has the line drive.
That ball hung up there pretty well, Jim, for Buford. It looked like it was going to sink in there, and all of a sudden it just started raising a little bit and just carried right on out to him.
Here's Cloninger, who was called out on strikes to end the 2nd inning. Tony is up there not only because he's pitching a fine ball game, but because, as we said back in the 2nd inning, he is a good hitter. Hit .213, and anytime you get a pitch over 200 mark, that's a pretty good hitting. Swings, first pitch, strike 1. And Sandy Koufax, who was with us, pointed out one time playing with Atlanta, had 2 grand slam home runs in one ball game. The strike 1 pitch from McNally. Breaking pitch, and he swings and misses again. It's 2 strikes.
Yes, Jim, his name's in the record book. He had 9 runs batted in that day out at Candlestick Park in San Francisco.
And they play Cloninger, a pitcher, a little bit around to the left, as though he is going to pull, which is quite a compliment. Ground ball, McNally off the mound toward third base, turns, has plenty of time to throw out Cloninger with the 2nd out. That'll bring up Pete Rose, who swung on the first pitch of the 1st inning and singled. In the 3rd inning, he swung on the first pitch, fouled it off, and then went on to send a line drive toward second base, and Davy Johnson made quite a backhanded play on him, falling down as he did. So Rose got his first base hit of the series in the 1st inning. And, of course, for the 5th time in 6 years, he had more than 200 hits in the regular season. 2 outs in the 5th, 3-1 Baltimore. Here's McNally, and again he swings on the first pitch to Belanger at second base. The shortstop right by the bag throws him out, and McNally's got a 1-2-3 inning. No runs, hits, 2 errors, none left. We go to the last of the 5th inning with Baltimore owning a 3-1 lead over Cincinnati.
The drivers know. Ask them why the compacts from Chrysler Corporation are the most popular of all domestic-built compacts.
Unibody construction.
Cushion bar suspension. Better handling.
Slam 6 engine or V8. Economy and performance.
Space for people and packages.
More trunk space. Concealed spare tires.
Keyless door locking.
Acrylic enamel finish. An easy bright shine. More colors to choose from.
Bonded brake lighting.
Many options.
Torque flight automatic transmission.
That's all best.
Sedans, hardtop, or coupe body style.
Cassette tape stereo system.
Chrysler Corporation cars.
Chrysler Corporation compacts. Dart and Demon from Dodge. Valiant, Duster, and Scamp from Plymouth.
Chrysler Corporation cars.
Extra care in engineering, extra value, extra worth. The drivers know because Chrysler Corporation is always on the driver's side, giving you the kind of car you want at the price you want to pay.
We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
It's very easy to forget about your wiper blades if you have the hidden wipers on your car.
The rubber can go dead just as quick on hidden wipers as those out in the glass. When it does, stop where you see the big yellow ANCO cabinet and let the man at the pump replace or refill your streaking wipers with fresh new ANCO blades or refills. He can do it in seconds. It's a good place to buy gas, too.
Radio 66 WNBC New York, the home of Ted Brown.
Jim Simpson back at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, 3-1. Baltimore leads Cincinnati. Last of the fifth is the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Jim McIntyre.
Thank you, Jim. McNally takes the breaking pitch, a called strike to lead off the last half of the fifth inning. The Orioles with 3 runs and 4 hits. The Reds with 1 run and 4 hits. McNally bats right-handed. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Good high fastball. He was called out on strikes in the second inning. The top of the batting order, Don Buford is on deck. Temperature reaching into the 70s here in Baltimore, and the crowd just about 52,000. Capacity. Now the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball right over, called strike 3. Cloninger has his third strikeout, and there's 1 down for Baltimore in the fifth inning. Well, he's found the charge here as Don Buford strolls up. He'll walk and scored a run in the first inning and flying high to right field to Pete Rose in the second. Switch hitter batting left. Perez creeps in on the grass at third base. This is the first time the Cincinnati Reds have played on grass since September 20th in Atlanta. Been a little over 3 weeks. First pitch to Buford. Strike called on the outside part of the plate. Good fastball. There are dissenters among the partisan Oriole crowd. Cloninger with 3 walks, 3 strikeouts is about at his normal pace. Ball 1 is high. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, nobody on. Last half of the fifth inning at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Third game, 1970 World Series. Cloninger works. Swung on deep right. Well hit. Rolls back. Warning back. And it is a homer in the seat. Homer for Buford. Buford got all of that fastball and hit it a long way. It was in the seat above the 360 sign in deep right field. Rose went as far as he could go and just stood there and had to watch it. The second Baltimore home run of the day. First for Don Buford in the 1970 series. At the plate, Belanger looks for a high fly, shallow right. Rose comes over, calls for it, and takes it easily, and there are 2 down. Now the Orioles have a 4-1 lead. Here's Big Powell. Cloninger has gotten Powell today on a pop to the catcher and an easy ground ball to the shortstop. Wayne Granger is up and throwing again the Cincinnati bullpen. As Cloninger has made 2 mistakes with the fastball, got it up to Buford and Robinson, Frank Robinson that is. And these 2 guys take care of those mistakes. The shift is on for Powell. First pitch to him, ground ball sharply to first. Lee May makes the play himself and makes the out. 1 run on 1 hit, Buford's home run, nobody left, and the score at the end of 5 now, Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 1.
I'm a casual kind of guy, I swear. If you can't tell by my guitar, you can sure tell by my hair. You see, I don't go spoiling it with things out of bottles and tubes, or even water out of a spout. So, feeling the way I do, I never thought I'd see the day when I'd say, hey, here's something for my hair that's really a groove. Let me tell you about it. It's a thing called the Dry Look, made by Gillette. It's dry control in an aerosol can. You comb your hair till it looks just right. Then put on the Dry Look, and your hair will still look dry. Oh, casually and clean. And if you want just a little dry control, or maybe a little more, or even more, the Dry Look gives it to you, because there's a special 3-way valve on top. You set the right degree of dry control for you. So take my advice and try the Dry Look. Yeah, the wet head is dead. Long live the Dry Look from Gillette.
Hello again from Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Jim Simpson with Jim McIntyre. As we go to the top of the 6th inning, the score is 4-1. And the crowd noise you hear is because of a girl that is on the crew that helps to sweep up the diamond, sweep it down, keep it white. She will always go over to someone and step on their foot, the first baseman or the third baseman. And this time she went over and took off Emmett Ashford's hat, and that drew a roar from the crowd. Well, 4-1 the scores. Cincinnati needs runs. Here's a group that can get them. Bobby Tolan, Tony Pérez, Johnny Bench, due up in the 6th inning. As Baltimore has its 4 runs on 5 hits and 1 error that allowed the only Cincinnati run. The Reds have 4 hits and no errors. Left-hander Bobby Tolan steps in as his Reds trail Baltimore 4-1. Again, Jim McIntyre.
All right, Jim. McNally has retired 7 batters in a row, and he gets his first pitch under the knees to Tolan, ball 1. All of the Reds' hits have been of the one-base variety, including Bobby Tolan's bunt in the 1st inning. McNally works to him again and got it outside. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Third base umpire Emmett Ashford went along with the swat with the broom, and the crowd loved it. Swing and a foul back, out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike to Tolan. Buford in left, Blair in center, Frank Robinson in right field. And Robinson in right is fairly deep for Tolan, who has good power despite his size. Brooks Robinson even with the bag at third base. Mark Belanger fairly deep at short. So is Davy Johnson at second. Big Powell near the bag at first. As Tolan fouls back another pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Andy Etchebarren is behind the plate in Game 3 for the Baltimore Orioles, and on the mound, Dave McNally, who has been some kind of pitcher. As he signed, he's 2-2 and working to Tolan. Swung on a fly ball left field. Buford coming in a bit to his left and takes it 1 down. 8 in a row, McNally has set down. And these Baltimore pitchers seem to get better as the innings go by. Jim Palmer in the 1st game wiggled out of the corner, got off of the hook in the 1st inning, and from then on, boy, he was tough. And McNally, who had his problems in the first 2 innings, is getting stronger. Here's Perez. High foul, back of first, and big foul coming over. That runs out of room. It's in the stand, strike 1. Perez hit into the double play in the 1st inning, drew a base on balls in the 3rd, the only walk given up by McNally so far. Everybody you can name in baseball here today. Chuck Feeney, the president of the National League, finishing his 1st year in office. Mr. Joe Cronin of the American League. Perez bounces 1 foul past third base. And now, with 2 strikes, McNally can operate a little bit. We said at the start of the broadcast, the Reds feel they have to win this one. If they don't, it's going to be tough. McNally delivers. It's a ball very high and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that's as hard as he's thrown the ball today. That pitch right there. McNally asks for and gets a new baseball from Tony Benson, the plate umpire.
Jim, you say it's tough if they don't win today. How tough is it? No club has ever lost the first 3 and come back to win.
That's right. That's right. Now the 1-2. It's a ball high and inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the big bats of Buford and Frank Robinson so far have been a big, big factor. Perez strikes out. He got him with an off-speed breaking pitch. And that's 4 strikeouts for McNally. 2 down for the Reds in the 6th. And 9 straight batters that McNally has retired.
Number 5.
The last man to get on base was Perez when he walked in the 3rd. Here's Johnny Bench, run for 2. Lined out the 3rd in the 1st inning and fouled out to first base in the 3rd. Takes a ball high and outside. Don Buford's 2nd World Series homer. He had a home run his first time at bat against the New York Mets last year. Bench takes the ball outside, just off the plate. 2 balls, no strikes. Dave McNally is not overpowering. He's what the players say sneaky fast, but he has great control. He doesn't beat himself. 2-0. High pop fly, foul, back to first, and Luke Powell coming over and can't get it. Out of play. 2-1. This is McNally's 5th World Series start. He has a 1-1 record in classic play, has a .233 earned run average. Was the winner of the 4th and last game of the 1966 series. All right, he's 2-1 to Johnny Bench and winding the pitch. Change up low, ball 3, make it. And boy, I tell you, Bench really had to work to keep from taking a whack at that one. On deck is Lee May, who has hit the ball hard just about every time he's been to the plate. 4-1, Orioles lead. They have 5 hits, the Reds have 4. 3-1 pitch to Bench. Drilled. A line shot that Brooks Robinson dived and grabbed in his glove for the third out to retire the side. What a play. Wow. Boy, that Robinson is something. In the 6th inning, 3 up, 3 down for the Reds. After 5.5 innings, it's Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 1.
You can tell you're an American country.
Salem smokers know what time it is. It is springtime. Take a puff and let Salem's country soft, country fresh taste do its thing.
You can tell you're an American country. You can't take the country out of Salem. You can tell Salem out of the country.
Back in Baltimore with Jim McIntyre, this is Jim Simpson. Frank Robinson is coming up, and they're still buzzing over Brooks Robinson, who again has made one of those patented plays. And Jim, I remember seeing Brooks Robinson back in spring training just about the first day. And I said, how are you feeling, Brooks? He said, I'm ready for the season to start right now. He is so eager to play. And Frank Robinson, due up now, has a home run and a single and 2 runs scored. Jim?
First pitch to him is swung on and missed, strike 1. Big cut and a slow curveball. Well, I tell you, Jim, this Brooks Robinson has just been fantastic. It's a pleasure to see a guy play baseball the way he does. Pitch to Robinson is a curve missed outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's worth the price of admission. Frank Robinson. What a player this guy is. Takes the breaking pitch and away from him. Ball 2, 2 balls, 1 strike. That's a .303 lifetime Major League batting average in the National League. The very same in the American League. He's 2 for 2 today. His first 2 hits in the series. 2 for 11. Powerful wrists. Quick bat. Cloninger winds, fires. Ball 3, a little low. 3 balls, 1 strike. And the bullpen gets busy for the Cincinnati Reds. Right-hander Wayne Granger gets up. He's been up a couple of times before. Tony Cloninger winding in 3-1. Swing and a very high fly to left center. Should be caught. Tolan, McRae both there. Tolan calls and takes it. 1 out. That'll bring up Paul Blair, the center fielder. Blair today, 1 for 1. Drew a walk in the first inning. Singled in the third, was thrown out trying to steal. Johnny Bench cut him down. Bench has thrown out 2 runners today. After Etchebarren was called out on strikes, he got Davey Johnson in the 4th inning. Cloninger gets his sign to go work on Paul Blair. First pitch. Breaking ball up and in. Ball 1. Baltimore 4, Cincinnati 1, 6th inning. Cloninger delivers. Fastball popped up, foul, back to the right. Bench coming over, mask off, near the stands, can't get it out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cloninger pitched against Pittsburgh in the 3rd game of the championship series in the National League a week ago yesterday, and pitched 5 innings in that game. Was not the winner or the loser. He's 1-1 to Blair, and a curve is cut on and missed, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Reds feature Hal McRae in left, Bobby Tolan in center, Pete Rose in right field. Perez at 3rd, Concepcion at short, Helms 2nd, May at 1st, bench behind the plate. Now the pitch. Swung on a hit up the middle, right by the mound, into center, a base hit. Tolan plays it back in, and Blair is on with his 2nd hit, and the 6th for Baltimore as Brooks Robinson steps up, and listen to this crowd. A standing ovation for him. Rocky Anderson is making his way out to the mound, and I have to think this is going to be all for Tony Cloninger. The high sign has been given to the bullpen, and we'll get a new pitcher. Right here, we pause for 30 seconds for station identification.
How many members of your family drive your car? Are your wiper blades doing their job, or are they sleeping? Don't turn the car over to someone you love with wiper blades that'll blur their vision if they're driving in bad weather. Get your blades replaced or refilled today with fresh new Anco blades or refills. Look for the bright yellow Anco cabinets in service stations everywhere. Good place to buy gas, too.
Radio 66, WNBC New York, the home of the Knicks and Rangers.
With Jim McIntyre, this is Jim Simpson speaking from Baltimore. We are in the 6th inning. Tony Cloninger has departed with Blair on at first base with 1 out in the 6th inning. But Tony worked 5 in the 3rd innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 6 hits, including Blair's just now. And of those 6 hits, 2 were home runs on, as Jim said, fastball mistakes. 1 to Frank Robinson in the 3rd inning, another to Don Buford in the 5th inning. Cloninger struck out 3 and walked a couple. Wayne Granger coming in had quite a regular season for Cincinnati. He had 35 saves, exclusively a relief pitcher, never started. Fine earned run average of 2.65. If you want to look at the one-loss column, he was 6-5, but those 35 saves are the things that you take a look at. In the league championships against Pittsburgh, he only worked 2/3 of an inning, gave up a hit, and had no run score on him. And strangely enough, and many have been talking about it, as everybody is entitled to second guess, as they say, in the World Series thus far, Wayne Granger, with those 35 saves, has not been used at all. Born in Springfield, Massachusetts, lives up in Huntington, Mass. He started with the card system. This is the 3rd year for him in the National League and the 2nd with the Reds. And he set a Major League record in 1969 last year as he appeared in 90 games. This year he was in 67. And I guess when Sparky Anderson saw Brooks Robinson come up, who has done everything with the bat, won the first game with a home run and doubled in the first 2 runs of this game, and with the glove, Sparky decided it was time for a change. So Cloninger is gone, Granger's in there, here's Jim McIntyre.
And Brooks Robinson steps up to the plate. Runner at first, 1 man out, first pitch. Swung on, hit deep left, down the line, in the corner, off the wall for a hit. Blair racing to 3rd, and the throw there not in time. Going to 2nd, Robinson, and he's straight there, sliding. Dave Concepcion, who took the ball as it was thrown in by McRae, turned around, took a look at 3rd base, no chance to get Blair. Had he thrown the ball to Helms immediately, they may have been able to get Brooks Robinson. This will be scored, I'm sure, as a double. There was no error on the play, except that Concepcion held onto the ball. So Brooks Robinson greets Granger with a double off the wall and left. And Blair's at 3rd. There's 1 out, runners 2nd and 3rd, and Davey Johnson will be the batter.
Jim, not to continue to talk about Brooks Robinson, but
One out, runner second and third, and Davy Johnson will be the batter.
Jim, not to continue to talk about Brooks Robinson, but certainly he deserves it. That is another accolade they give him, a fine base runner. They're going to put this man on base. A fine base runner, and thus when he saw the throw go toward third, he immediately stretched the single to a double.
They're giving Davy Johnson an intentional walk to load up the bases with one out and get to Andy Etchebarren. Granger's 35 saves this season for Cincinnati broke the existing record of 32, which was set for Jack Aker of Kansas City in 1966. But the save rule has changed a little bit this year. All right, Andy Etchebarren coming to the bat. Bases loaded, one man out, and a hit here would be mighty big. Down in the bullpen, a left-hander, Don Gullett, begins to warm up for Cincinnati as Etchebarren waits for Granger's first one. It's inside, almost got him, ball one. Left-hander Don Gullett warms up for the Cincinnati Reds as Etchebarren, who is none for two, waits at the plate. He's grounded to third, and he's been called out on strike. Granger delivers. A strike call, a good fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Orioles have Blair at third, Brooks Robinson at second, Davy Johnson at first, and one man out in their half of the sixth inning, and they own a 4-1 lead. Granger into the work, getting wind up, and a swing and a miss, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitcher, Dave McNally, would be next. Tomorrow's fourth game will see Gary Nolan come back for Cincinnati and Jim Palmer for Baltimore. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Granger delivers. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Granger strikes out Etchebarren, and now we get McNally. McNally bats right-handed. He's been called out on strikes twice. As a batter, has a lifetime average of 124. He's hit 5 lifetime home runs in the American League, 1 this year here in Baltimore. 4 of his lifetime homers have been here. Hit 1 at Detroit. So you really can't let up against him. Granger delivers. A swing and a foul tip, strike 1. McNally hit a home run in the 1969 World Series at Shea Stadium in the 5th game against Gary Kuzman, with 1 man on base at the time. Granger delivers again. Swing and a miss, strike 2. So far, Etchebarren and McNally have been chasing Granger's sinking fastball. That's his bread and butter pitch. And this is why he's been so successful as a reliever. Batters tend to hit the ball on the ground, and he gets out of a lot of situations with a double play many times. The 0-2 pitch. Ball a little low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, when Blair shot that single past Cloninger and Sparky Anderson decided to bring on Granger, Brooks Robinson greeted him with a well-hit double off the left field wall. And now trying to get out of it. The 1-2 pitch. Outside, ball 2, and he almost got it by a pinch. The room behind the plate for the backstop here at Memorial Stadium is, well, it's not too far back there. I'm going to guess 35, 40 feet. Maybe not that much. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 3 on, 2 out, 6th inning. Here's the pitch. Swing and a grounder, foul, past third. That cracked pretty good. Waiting and hoping he gets the bat this inning is Don Buford in the top of the batting order. Baltimore now with 7 hits. The Reds with 4. All singles. Granger plants his foot on the rubber, gets his signal. Blair, Brooks Robinson, and Johnson lead. Here's the pitch. Swinging a fly ball deep left. That might be a grand slam home run. you talk about pitchers and how they can hit. There you are. And it's 8-1 Orioles, and here's Buford at the plate. To Buford, batting left, is chopped right out toward the mound. In and up with it, Granger whips it to first in time, and the inning is over. But Baltimore came up with 4 runs on 3 hits, left nobody on base. McNally took care of that. And at the end of 6 innings now, it's the Orioles 8 and the Reds 1.
Here for Dave McNally, who is walking out to take his warm-up pitches. 24-game winner, of course, Mike Cuellar, 24-game winner of Baltimore, hit a grand slammer against Minnesota in the league championship. The retail store employees unions are well known for their achievements on behalf of more than 600,000 members. Their union agreements with employers provide for good wages, liberal hospitalization, and retirement plans. They both urge all adult Americans to cast their secret ballot on November 3rd. This message from the Retail Store Employees Union in your community, chartered by the Retail Clerks International Association, Washington, D.C., 20006.
You know, back when Gillette introduced the famous Look Sharp March, nobody dreamed of the advances to come in shaving comfort. Stainless steel, super stainless, and now platinum. Today, Gillette uses a platinum alloy to smooth the edge of Gillette Platinum Plus blades. A smoother edge means smoother shaves, closer, with even more comfort. Learn what it feels like to shave with Gillette's best blade. Gillette Platinum Plus, double edge or injector. Try them in your razor today. Lee May will lead off for the Reds in the 7th inning. Well, that grand slam, a home run by Dave McNally, is the 12th grand slam, the first ever by a pitcher in World Series play. May pulls the first pitch foul down the left field line, strike 1. Within a 10-day span now, 2 grand slams have been hit by Baltimore pitchers. Mike Cuellar hit one against the Minnesota Twins in the championship series. Lee May takes an off-speed curve. It's low, and it's ball 1, 1 ball, 1 strike. I'll tell you who's the happiest fellow in Baltimore's Memorial Stadium right now. He's standing in the middle of a diamond out there. Now the 1-1 to Lee May. And it's ball 2 up high. 2 balls, 1 strike. May is none for 2, been called out on strikes and grounded to third base. Mr. David Arthur McNally will be the close to Baltimore today. Here's a pitch low, ball 3, along with his third baseman, Brooks Robinson. But Mr. McNally is the man of the hour right now. He's 3-1 to Lee May with Al McRae waiting next up. As a looping foul hit off the hands, back to the right, strike 2, 3-2. Eight runs on 8 hits. The Orioles have made them count. Now the 3-2. Ball 4, low inside, walk number 2 off McNally. He just missed with a breaking ball. That's the first base runner the Reds have had since the 3rd inning. And this is the 7th. There's no action at the moment in the Cincinnati Reds bullpen. Although you would think possibly Granger might get up. Baltimore leads 8-1. Starting the 7th with a runner at first and McRae at the plate, 1 for 2, a single. Now the pitch to him. Line drive, left field, base hit. Buford over to his left, plays the ball. Lee May makes the turn, will hold it second on a throw to third. And McRae has his second World Series hit. 2 men on, nobody out. Tommy Helms coming up. And there's some action today for the first time down in the Baltimore bullpen. Want to get some action down there. They're stirring around. That's a homer by Dave McNally. It was his second home run in World Series play. He hit one last year. Bob Gibson is the only other pitcher with 2 series home runs in 67 and 68. Helms at the bounce pretty short. Cloninger has it. Over to second. Out. Relay to first base. Safe. No double play. Going to third is May. As they force the middle runner. Eddie Watt, a right-hander, is the pitcher in the bullpen for Baltimore. As Dave Concepcion comes to the plate. He's due to be followed by Granger. One out, runners at first and third. 8-1 Baltimore lead. Pete Rickard, a left-hander, is going to join Eddie Watt, a right-hander in the bullpen for Baltimore. Here's Dave Concepcion with 1 for 2 today, a single to right field, a right-handed batter. McNally, ready, and pitching. Swing and a miss, strike one. Good changeup. Don Gullett, the left-hander, gets up again in the Cincinnati bullpen. There's nobody out in the on-deck circle as yet. The stretch, the look, and the pitch. And the ball just outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lee May at third. Tommy Helms at first. 1 man out. 8-1 the Orioles. 7th inning. Next pitch. High fly, right field, near the line. Robinson shades his eyes, drifts to his left, makes the catch. Lee May tags at third and comes on in to score. The throw goes to second, and it's now 8-2. Well, that'll bring up a pinch hitter. Woody Woodward, who played the first 2 games at shortstop, is getting a bat to hit for Wayne Granger. Woody did not get a hit in either game and came to bat twice the first day in the first game and twice on Sunday. And is 0 for 4. And on the season, batted .223. Right-handed batter, Woody Woodward, will bat for Wayne Granger. 2 out, a runner at first, 8-2 Baltimore. That's 5 hits. The Orioles have 8. Here's Woodward at the plate. And McNally with his first pitch. Here it is. Got it over. Strike call. Knee high inside edge. McNally sets, looks at first, and fires. Swung on, looping pop fly, shallow left. That is over the head of the shortstop, picked up by Buford. Helms will hold at second, and Woodward has a looping single to left field. 6 hits for the Reds. For Pete Rose coming to bat, and Rose has had only 1 hit in the series and 10 times up. Watt and Rickard continue to throw in the Baltimore bullpen. Rose robbed of a hit by a stab by Dave Johnson in the 3rd inning, a backhanded diving stab of a low line drive. Diggs in, batting right-handed. McNally with his first offering. It's a strike call, a good fastball on the outside part of the plate. I see what you mean, Jim, about this fellow McNally being sneaky fast. Two on, 2 out, 1 run in. 8-2 Orioles, first half of the 7th inning. McNally delivers. Ball high and outside. Fastball. He tried to hit the same spot. Don Gullett will be the Cincinnati pitcher in the last half of the 7th. McNally ready. To Pete Rose. Swung on, lined into right field for a hit. Robinson charges up with the ball. Helms will score, and the throw goes towards third, and holding at second is Woodward. And now it's 8-3, and out of the Baltimore dugout bounces Earl Weaver. Rose gets his 2nd hit in the series, and now for the Reds, 7 hits. All of them have been singles. And with runners at first and third, Weaver is going to make it Bamberger. George Bamberger is coming out and not Weaver. And he may have the hook and he may not. We'll see. The Big Red Machine's vaunted power, long ball, has not been evident here today. Bamberger is going back to the dugout. McNally stays. At least to pitch to Bobby Tolan, who is a left-handed batter. I have a sneaking suspicion if Tolan gets on, though, we'd see Eddie Watt to work to Perez, a right-handed hitter with good power.
Number 28, Bobby.
8-3. Baltimore the lead. The Reds Reds trying to put something together in the 7th inning. 2 out, 2 on. McNally works to Bobby Tolan. A swing and a miss at a good fastball. Tolan has been the most consistent hitter the Reds have had since the 23rd day of May. He hit .316 on the year. Swings at the looping pop fly back to third base. That could be trouble. Belanger on the run, grabs it for the out near the foul line. And McNally pitches out of trouble. 2 runs come across the plate for the Reds in the 7th inning on 3 hits. 2 men were left on, no Baltimore errors, and in the middle of the 7th inning, Game 3, 1970 series, it's Baltimore 8 and Cincinnati 3.
And, Jim, let's talk for a minute about power. It is power that's so important in this game of baseball. It's mighty tough for a team to win a pennant without it. Of course, power is a key factor in auto racing, too, and that's why Andy Granatelli and the people at STP started making STP gasoline treatment. On the track, STP gas treatment helped Andy's race cars keep running at peak power and still get the best mileage possible. But now there's something better. New improved STP gas treatment. Now when you add STP gas treatment to your family car, it cleans spark plugs better and cleans your carburetor better. Actually cleans and tunes your engine as you drive. New STP gas treatment works to eliminate those power-robbing deposits of carbon that can build up in your car's engine, sap its pep and power. Use new improved STP gas treatment in your car regularly, and you'll keep all the power you paid for. So the next time you fill up, add a can of new improved STP gas treatment. You'll feel the difference. We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
Listen to your windshield wipers. Could be they're telling you that they've had it, that they can't do their job anymore. That you should do something about it. If so, you know. Amco, the windshield wiper people, make the best wipers, best blades, best refills you can buy. Look for them in the bright yellow cabinets, in good service stations everywhere. Amco, A-N-C-O, by Anderson.
Radio 66, WNBC New York, the home of Joe O'Brien.
Back in Baltimore, Jim Simpson with Jim McIntyre, and we have a third pitcher, Don Gullett, the speedy left-hander who a year ago was just getting out of high school. Gullett will come on to pitch. Granger, who worked 2/3 of an inning, gave up 3 runs, has 4 scored on Dave McNally's grand slam home run, the first ever by a pitcher in World Series history. Granger gave up 2 hits, struck out 1, and walked 1 intentionally. And, of course, with the score at 4-1, Dave McNally knew that the tying run as well as the winning run someday could stride to the plate. But with a score of 8-1, it is now 8-3. As long as he keeps a 5-run difference, the winning run can never come up, and that he likes. Here's Jim McIntyre.
Young Don Gullett pitched 2 innings of Sunday's game, struck out 2 and walked 3, did not allow a hit, and he fires a fastball to Mark Belanger for a called strike 1. Gullett, the third Cincinnati pitcher, left-hander, throws the good fastball. Swings ground ball, second baseman Tommy Helms up with it, on over to first. Belanger is out, 1 down. Last stab of the 7th inning. And here's Bruce Powell. Powell faced Gullett in the 9th inning of the game Sunday in Cincinnati and drew a base on ball. Today, Powell is 0 for 3. Got 3 for 6 coming into the contest today, including 2 homers. They shift on him, and here's the first pitch. That's a ball low. On the season, Gullett appeared in 44 games for the Reds, started 2 of them, won 5, lost 2, posted a 2.42 earned run average. Powell waits, Gullett fires. A strike call, a good fastball. The fellow who took a look at that pitch and said, ooh, was one of the guys who could throw it as hard as anybody, Sandy Koufax. One and 1 to Powell as Gullett delivers. Ball 2, it's high. That was the fastball up. Walter Alston compared Gullett favorably to the gentleman sitting over here to my left in his early days with his speed and fastball. Here's ball 3. It's high outside to Brooke Powell, and it's 3-1. Concepcion, the Red shortstop, is in shallow center field behind second base. Gullett throws. Powell takes the ball low inside and walks. The fifth Baltimore batter to get a walk here today. And brings up Frank Robinson. Well, he's had a pretty good day today. Singled and scored, hit a home run, and fired to center field. So he's 2 for 3, getting his first 1970 World Series hit in his home ballpark. Well, the Reds infield will be hoping for a double play ball here. 1 out, 7th inning. Baltimore leading 8 to 3. The Orioles have had the long ball and the extra base hits today. Robinson is a bouncer to short, charging. Big hop and it bounces over his head, out into left field. Powell is leaning to third. Here's a throw from McRae to second, and Frank Robinson is out sliding in at second base. A ball that took a very high bounce and went over Concepcion's head. Book Powell wheeled around to third base. So we're going to get an argument out at second as Frank Robinson argues with Billy Williams. And Weaver is coming out to take up the cause. And we have a discussion on the out at second base. Robinson is credited with a single. That's the 9th Baltimore hit. Powell going to third on the hit. And Robinson is out trying to stretch it into a double. McRae to Helms. Well, the argument is over, and you know who won. Here's Paul Blair stepping in. 2 for 2, 2 singles, and a walk. Scored 1. Howell at third, 2 men out. Gullett delivered. Swing and a foul back. Strike 1. Dave Linhart is throwing in the bullpen. As they swing and a foul back right over Booth in the end of the upper deck. 0-2 to Blair. Brooks Robinson would be next. Baltimore leads 8-3 last half of the 7th inning. Don Gullett pitching to Blair. Swinging a smash foul past third. Two to Blair. Gullett winds, fires, swung on and foul back up on the net. Reach a little bit there. Jim, he'd had a souvenir. Two. Next pitch. Drilled into left off the glove of Perez as he leaps for it down the line. Powell is in to score. Digging for second is Blair, and the throw there not in time. And a double. And now the Orioles lead 9-3. 10 hits, 2 off Gullett. And here's Brooks Robinson, who is 2 for 3, a couple of doubles, 2 runs batted in, and some fantastic plays at third base. All right, the stretch from the pitch, and Robinson swings and pops it up. Back of first, down the right field line. Foul, Lee May coming over near the stands and takes it for the third out to retire the side. So the Orioles go down in the 7th. They get 1 run with 2 hits, a single and a double behind a base on ball, and have 1 man left. And at the end of 7 innings, it's Baltimore 9, Cincinnati 3.
You're impatient for the morning, and you must have something new. Chrysler Plymouth, coming through. When you're on the open highway with the whole world slipping by, like a solitary bird against the sky.
This is Bobby Goldsboro coming through with Chrysler Plymouth. This year they offer more kinds of new cars than anyone else in the business. So why not let Chrysler Plymouth come through for you?
Chrysler Plymouth, coming through.
For 1971, Chrysler Plymouth offers more kinds of new cars than anyone else in the business. Why not let a Chrysler or Plymouth come through for you? Now this becomes a big inning for Dave McNally, who has a 9-3 lead. This is the 8th inning with the power coming up. Tony Pérez, Johnny Bench, and Lee May. If he can get past this inning without problem, the 9th and the ball of the game becomes a lot easier. Here's Jim McIntyre.
Thank you, Jim. Perez, without a hit today, none for 2. Drew a base on balls in the 3rd inning. Standing off to the left side of the plate, waiting for McNally to get ready. And now we're ready to go. McNally needs 6 outs. Here's his pitch. Off speed and outside, ball 1. 9-3, Baltimore. Perez takes again, ball 2, going outside. Top half of the 8th, 9-3, the Orioles. 9 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error for Baltimore. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Cincinnati. Perez waiting. It's a high pop-up in the infield. First baseman Boog Powell under it, calling, and takes it. 1 away. And you have to think McNally is also thinking about the number of outs remaining. Johnny Bench steps in. Robbed of a hit on a terrific play by Brooks Robinson the last time up. He also caught a line drive off Bench's bat in the 1st inning. He fouled out in the 3rd. He's 0 for 3 and stands in there 2 for 10 in World Series 1970. One of those hits a home run. Takes a strike call on the outside corner. McNally ran into trouble last inning when the Reds got 2 runs, but he's coming back here in the 8th inning. There's ball 1 just off the plate. Lee May, the on-deck batter, here in the 8th inning. Bench takes a change outside, ball 2. 2 balls a strike. This Baltimore ball club has impressed everybody in the American League, and I'm sure everybody that watches them, with their tremendous balance. Bench pops up. Back of the plate, foul. Coming back, Etchebarren, and cannot get it. Out of play on the screen. 2-2. The Orioles have pitching, defense, and hitting. And what else do you need? They just got it all. Put it all together. 2-2 to Bench. Swinging a foul out of the mid of Etchebarren, and he tried to hold it, couldn't do it. And Bench is alive. Etchebarren took that one on the left side. I think he's okay. He's walking out to the mound to talk with McNally. If you want to think about tomorrow, Gary Nolan. Jim Palmer will try to come back and rack up his 2nd win in the series. Nolan will try to get even. He lost the 1st game. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Bench, 1 man out, 1st half of the 8th. Baltimore leads comfortably 9-3. Bench takes strike 3 call. And has something to say to Tony Benson before leaving the plate. That's the 5th strikeout for McNally. Puts 2 down for the Reds in the 8th. And brings up Lee May, who's been called out on strikes, grounded to 3rd, walked, and scored.
Jim, that's the strength of Dave McNally. Johnny Bench, a dead pull hitter. Every pitch that McNally threw was to a spot just on the outside corner or just off of it, including that breaking pitch for called strike 3.
That's right. Lee May drills the first pitch into left field for a clean hit. Buford makes the pick up and throw in, and there's hit number 8 for the Reds, and they have all been singles. Hayes first on the day, and here's Al McRae, who's had 2 singles, 2 for 3.
Number 11, Al McRae.
They just announced the attendance, 51,773. 51773. Here's McNally with his first pitch. And McRae pulls it foul into the Baltimore dugout. Look out. Bullpen gets busy again for Baltimore. Looks like Watt and Ricketts. Or Leonard and Ricketts. We'll check and see. McRae hits a high pop-up out in shallow right field. Going out, Johnson backpedaling, gets under it and takes it to the third out, ending the Reds' eighth inning. No runs, one hit, and one man left. In the middle of the eighth inning, it's Baltimore 9 and Cincinnati 3.
You remember a guy in the big leagues named Frank Baker? Well, they used to call him Home Run Baker. But the most home runs he ever hit was 12. That's kind of like calling the slick-down look you get from most hairdressings natural. I mean, how natural can your hair look when it's all loaded down with grease? And that's why you'll like Vitalis. It holds your hair in place without any grease. So if you want to look good naturally, don't kid yourself. Use Vitalis. That's Vitalis. It's greaseless.
This is Kurt Gowdy. You know, when a pitcher's getting everyone out, they say he has his good stuff. That's what I like about Phillips 66. At the performance stop, they've always got their good stuff. Take their premium gasoline, Phillips Flight Fuel. Not only has it got all the power you need, but its special detergent action keeps your engine running clean. Phillips Flight Fuel. Get it at the performance stop, Phillips 66. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts.
Back at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium, Jim Simpson with Jim McIntyre, last of the eighth inning. Dave Johnson, Andy Etchebarren, and Dave McNally due up. The score is, of course, 9-3 Baltimore leads, and looking ahead to the ninth, McNally faces, in that lineup of the Big Red Machine of Cincinnati, the numbers 7, 8, and 9 batters. He got through Perez, Bench, May, and McRae without allowing a run. And that's the plus and sends McNally and the Orioles closer to winning their third in a row in this 1970 World Series. Here's Davy Johnson, and here's Jim McIntyre.
Johnson has walked twice and flied to center field, 1 for 1, right-handed batter. Gullett's first pitch is inside to him, ball one. Cloninger went the first 5 1/3 innings. Granger pitched 2/3 of an inning, and Gullett has worked the 7th and now in the 8th. As a high fly popped down to the short right, May, Helms, Rose, calls, and takes it coming on for the first out. 1 down. Andy Etchebarren, 1 for 3. Down to the third, struck out twice, once called, once swinging. You know, one of the reasons why I think no team has ever lost the first 3 games of the World Series and then come back to win it is that you feel like you've got a chance when you're down 2 games to none, but when you go 3 down, somehow the starch just goes out. There's a strike called on the inside edge of the knees. Don Gullett, who has a great future ahead of him, fires, swung in a ground ball to short. Concepcion up with it, gone over to May. A high throw, but it's not too high for May to take down, and there's 2 outs. Listen to the applause for Dave McNally. Without his bat in the 6th inning, we might have a 4-3 ball game right now. There's a strike at the knee. That's why I'll make it 5-3. Now they got another run, of course, in the 7th. Now 9-3, and McNally takes the call, strike at the knee. And another strike. Right over. Gullett pulling the fastball right through there. 0-2 to McNally. 2 out. Bottom of the 8th at Baltimore. Gullett fires. Swing on it, foul back. And he's facing there, 2 strikes. Granger, I think, got a fastball up and out over the plate, and McNally didn't waste any time putting it away in the seats down the left field line. Gullett's 0-2. Ball high, changed up with it. 2 again. Swinging a fly ball, short left, going out Concepcion, coming in McRae. McKay still coming, makes the catch to retire the side. 3 up and 3 down for Baltimore in the 8th inning. So after 8 innings of play, Game 3 of the 1970 World Series, it's Baltimore 9, Cincinnati 3.
Hiking down the dusty trail, I hear the little coyotes wail. I'd walk a mile for a camel. I'd walk a mile, wouldn't you? I got a wandering soul, beat up boots with a great big hole. I'd walk a mile for a camel.
This message was strictly for smokers who never tasted a Camel cigarette. Camel smokers, you know what we mean. You other guys, start walking.
As one of America's major trade unions, the Retail Clerks International Association brings the benefits of democracy to the place of employment of more than 600,000 store workers with good wages and good working conditions. The Retail Clerk Unions, believing in the democratic processes of government, urge all Americans to vote on November 3rd. This message from the Retail Store Employees Union in your community, chartered by the Retail Clerks International Association, Washington, D.C., 20006. We go to the top of the ninth. The 7th, 8th, and 9th batters in the order of Cincinnati. Dave McNally working on a 9-3 lead. Dave is a control pitcher, and in a situation like this, a pitcher doesn't want to walk anybody. Let them hit the ball if they can. He's got a 6-run ball. Well, Mr. McNally goes to work, hoping he can bring Baltimore its 3rd win in the 3rd game of the World Series. Jim?
Tommy Helms, none for 3, takes a strike call on the outside edge. McNally has just been great out there today. The only hits off him have been singles, 8 of them. Delivers to Tommy Helms. A swing and a foul back to strike 2. Got the pitch up, and Helms took a whack at it and fouled it straight back. Davey Concepcion will bat next, and then the Reds will send up a pinch hitter. Reds were tough on left-handers this season. They were 33-12 against southpaw pitching. Helms loops one to shallow center. Coming on is Blair. Can't get it. It drops in for a hit. And the Reds now have 9 singles off McNally. That'll bring up Davey Concepcion, who has batted in 2 of the 3 Cincinnati runs today. One with a single in the 2nd inning, one with a fly ball in the 7th. He's 1 for 2 officially. Was a .260 hitter on the season, right-handed batter. And Ty Klein, who is a left-handed batter, is going to come up and hit for the pitcher. He's out in the on-deck circle. The stretch and the pitch. And a swing and a line drive, right field. Robinson coming on, takes it down around his knees for the out, and Helms hurries back to first. Concepcion lines to Frank Robinson in right field. That'll bring up Ty Klein with 1 out and 1 on.
And, Jim, I can't help but remember Klein got the triple in the scoreless game, the 10th inning of the first game between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati in the league championship. Then walked and scored the first time he appeared in the World Series. Then he was the man that was involved in that famous Ken Burkhart umpire call in that first game of the World Series, and he is also single. So let's say 2 appearances in the league championships and 2 in the World Series, and he has been on or involved in something big every time.
That's right, and until Woody Woodward got the single as a pinch batter in the 7th, Ty was the only pinch hitter to come through for the Reds. Bats left-handed and takes a strike call. Good fastball. Pete Rose, the top of the batting order on deck with 1 out and 1 on in the 9th inning, and the Orioles ahead 9-3. McNally ready and throw. Ball inside. Crowded him up around the level. Boog Powell at first base with a left-handed batter up is playing behind the runner. With the Reds down by 6 runs, he realizes that Helms isn't going anywhere. The 1-1 pitch coming. Swung on and looped down the left field line and twisting foul in the field boxes. 2 strikes, a ball to Klein. Well, the first 3 World Series games have drawn better than 51,000. Both games at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati were capacity 51,531. Today, 51,773. Here's the 1-2 pitch from McNally to Klein. Loop foul again, back of third, and out of play. Gary Nolan and Jim Palmer are the starting pitchers for tomorrow, unless a change is made by one of the two managers. At the present time, that's the names announced. Klein takes a breaking pitch low, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Earl Weaver, if the Orioles continue like this, certainly will be in the driver's seat about pitching. Klein lines one, a short hopper, up with the second baseman over to second out, no relay. A short hop, low liner that hit right off the end of the bat that Johnson reached down around his shoe tops and short hopped the ball. And really, he had Tommy Helms sort of between a rock and a hard place. He didn't know which way to go. If he'd have caught the ball, Helms, I think, would have been doubled up easily at first base. So the force out puts 2 down and leaves it up to Pete Rose as to whether the third game will continue or not. Rose, switch hitter, batting right, is 2 for 4 today. Batted in a run with a single in the 7th inning. Klein leads at first. Rose takes the curve low. Ball 1. Pete Ricketts and Eddie Watt are throwing in the Baltimore bullpen in case McNally needs help. But right now, he doesn't need any. Rose waiting. The pitch comes, and he swings. It's a ground ball to short. Up with it, Belanger, over to Johnson. That ends the third game of the series. In the 9th inning for the Reds, no runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left off. And so Baltimore wins it 9-3.
The final score, as Jim said, of this third game, 9-3 Baltimore over Cincinnati. And we'll be back with the highlights of today's game in just a moment.
WN